Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Hope you guys have been enjoying the content on this channel as of late. Excuse me for the lack of videos for the past few days. Just like I said in the Doctor Strange video, just there wasn't really much to talk about, so, why do a video, Because I've always said on this channel that I'm only going to do videos on stuff that I actually care about, or I find to be interesting topics. And there's a crow outside or whatever making noise. Okay, so um, but uh, but yeah, so um, but my Doctor Strange reaction is now up. So if you guys want to check that out, go check it out. Um, so one sequel to another, uh, Avatar 2, The Way of Water, which right off the bat, doesn't anybody want to say the way of the water? Not the way of water, because I feel like that just feel like the title's just incomplete. Avatar: The Way of Water. I feel like it should be Avatar: The Way of the Water. Um, but just a little nitpick. Um, obviously, if you went to see Doctor Strange, you saw the trailer for the first time. Um, and I kind of want to talk about it because Avatar 2 has been something in the works for many years. I think the first Avatar came out in 2009? 2009? Yeah. Um, and ever since then, James Cameron's been working on a sequel and a bunch of other sequels for Avatar. Um, of course, Avatar being the highest grossing film of all time, which we'll get into in a second as to why that is the case. Um, but um, but how many years has it been now since Avatar? It's coming out in 2022, so it's been about 13 years since the original. Um, so over a decade now, and uh, a lot of people are very hyped over it. A lot of people are very creating a lot of buzz for it. And as the title suggests, I have a very different opinion when it comes to Avatar 2, um, which is that I don't think it's anything that special. Now, let me make it clear though, I will be seeing it because I am curious to know after all this time, what James Cameron is to deliver. Because James Cameron's is a good filmmaker. I mean, he did the first Terminator, Terminator 2, among other things. Which for some reason cannot come to my head at this present time. Aliens. We had Aliens. My phone is going off, by the way. I have my notes right here. Um, but uh, but yeah, so he's done some good work. He's done some good sequels. Um, but uh, but it's been about 13 years since he's directed anything. Um, so that worries me. Um, but just the idea of what Avatar 2 is, I never really have thought to be a special thing to begin with. Because, for one thing, the original Avatar was an exercise in technology. Now, admittedly, I've not seen Avatar in fully. I've seen bits there and there. But from the buzz that I've heard from Avatar, people just talk about the technology. They don't talk about the narrative of Avatar, the story of it, the characters. I just heard the name Jake Sully today. Like that name is not something like engraved into our culture, or engraved into entertainment like culture. Because people make Avatar out to be like this big thing. I mean, it made a whole lot of money, but again, I personally believe it's because of the technology that went into Avatar, not necessarily the story of Avatar. Um, and um, like this, just so you know, Avatar 2 is not a film that was built on uh, on general audience hype. This is something based purely on the internet or built up by the internet. Because if you look at the demo for what Avatar 2 is going to be, it's going to be kids, it's going to be teenagers, and it's going to be those movie fans who, just eat up all sorts of films and stuff, and those crazy Avatar fans, which are like this much. because the general audience just don't care. I mean, they might care because of the gimmicks that they might present. For one thing, 3D, which I I'm like everyone else. 3D has never and ever will be taken seriously because all it is it's just a cheap way to make money. That's really all it is. It's just a cheap way to make money. Um, I mean, theme parks do that, like it's not. It's just a way to enhance the experience, aka just a thing to put on the poster. Um, so um, so it never really was something that a lot of people were anticipating real to begin with. Again, it's just the internet that was talking about it for so long because it took so long to make. It took like 13 years to make. So um, and just because something took so long to make does not mean that it's necessarily going to be great. It actually means that it could be really bad. um, because let's say you invest into something for 13 years, like pull a Richard Linklater and dedicate like 20 or so years to make a movie. What are the chances that that film is actually going to turn out great? My guess, probably not. Like I don't want to say anything, but it's just when you have that, um, as a as your production, like I don't know, it gets me a little afraid. Um, Films that take like more than like 3 or 4 years to make, that's where I start to get concerned because that means that you've been refining it until eventually you're not true to what your vision was anymore, and you're just kind of just doing things. You're just experimenting, and it starts to become a little messy. So that's what I'm afraid that Avatar 2 is going to be, or I have these suspicions that it's probably going to be. Um, but but why is it not special? That's the question. Why is it not special? Well, for one thing, sequels aren't special to begin with. I mean, because sequels are not original. They're just sequels. They're doing what the original did and adding a couple new spins to it. That's really it. The only real sequel that I can think of, um, that I think is better than the original and is actually an original type is Godfather Part 2, because it technically isn't a sequel. It's also a prequel that's also acting as a sequel. So it's doing two different types of stories at the same time. And both stories are fresh. They have new spins. They have new dimensions. We're actually following different people. It's not just taking the same characters and then seeing where they go next, because that's not original. That's just adding on to what the original did. That's just what that is. Um, so um but also, like, from a visual medium, like from like just looking at what Avatar 2 looks like just based on the trailer, I mean, it looks pretty. I mean, don't get me wrong, I mean, it looks pretty. But it also looks a little dated. Like like the visuals are like the way I put it, it's like when you get a 4K television, right? Like, when you go find those demo tapes, like you go onto YouTube and you find those like 4K type demo tapes. That's kind of what I look at when I see this trailer for Avatar. It looks like a demo. It doesn't look like a functioning cinematic piece. It looks like just a piece of a video that you'd find on YouTube. It also looks like a video game. It doesn't look like a film. It looks like a video game, purely because of the way it looks and just the character models and just the way that this world seems to operate. It doesn't look like it functions as a film. In a film type, it looks like a video game thing. I feel like I'm supposed to have a controller, or have like, um, you know, have it boot up on a PS5 or something. Um, but it also, maybe I just mentioned it, but it looks dated. you know, um, like it looks like something that should have came out in 2011 or 12. Like it doesn't look like something that came out that would come out in 2022, because we've advanced so far since then with visual effects, and we have a certain look to visual effects nowadays. Um, and I mean, like I said, it looks pretty, but uh, it doesn't look uh, how do I put it? It looks like it should have came out years ago. That's kind of how I feel when I look at this trailer. It looks pretty, but feels like it should have belonged in like the early 2010s, you know. Um, so, um, but even with all my gripes, because I've been hearing about Avatar 2 for so many years, and it's like I never have gotten excited for it because the reason why Avatar, the first one, made a whole lot of money was because of its technology, because they were billing up the fact that it's like the first 3D movie that actually works, which, really think about that, like think about that as from a marketing point of view. That just sounds pathetic. We're the first 3D movie that actually works, you know? Like it just doesn't sound appealing to me. It's just like, okay. Um, and 3D has never worked. It never actually has worked or has been appealing. Again, it's just a cheap way to make more money. Um, and it's like why would you jeopardize your experience watching a film by having 3D added to it? 3D doesn't add anything to your experience. It doesn't. I mean, like if you want that, go to a theme park. Like that's what theme parks are supposed to do. When they have those 3D rides, that makes more sense because you're at a theme park, you're riding a roller coaster or anything like that. Like those parameters, that environment, it makes sense to have 3D in there, and 3D does enhance those types of experiences. When you're watching a film, you're supposed to watch the piece. Like 3D should not exist because it doesn't function in any respect. It's just like it doesn't do anything. Like it really doesn't do anything to the experience of watching a film. If anything, it takes away from it because you're not watching it in the way it should. Filmmakers like to say like, "Oh, you should watch it in 3D" and stuff like that. But that's just a marketing thing. Like any normal filmmaker would tell you, just watch the film as is on a big screen. That's it. Because 3D doesn't do anything to your experience with watching the film. Like I said, if anything, it takes away from it. Because you're distracted by like a hand coming into frame and this and that. Like it becomes a theme park type thing. It doesn't become a cinematic type thing. It becomes a gimmick, which is what 3D is all about. It's just a gimmick. So, um, and I actually got into an exchange with someone online asking them like because they were like, well, because when I saw the Avatar 2 trailer in theaters, nobody reacted to it. Like there was crickets in the theater. Um, and he was like saying that, oh, everybody reacted to the trailer in my theater. And I'm like, yeah, but who is everyone? Are we talking teenagers? Are we talking kids? Because we're going to a Marvel film, because of course there's going to be kids and teenagers and those comic book guys. But what about just a regular adult? Are they in that theater? And that person did not reply to me, because the reality is that Avatar 2 is aiming for a certain type of ignorance, because any normal adult is not going to care about Avatar 2. They don't care about it because all they see is like weird blue-looking creatures and just some sci-fi type environment. Which, by the way, sci-fi has never been appealing to adults. You know what appeals to adults? Horror films, some comedies, and maybe an action film there and there. But superhero films, not really for adults. That's mainly for kids and teenagers. And then you have those grown adults, those I don't want to say nerds or geeks because that's to them that's kind of it's like a bad word or something for them. You know what I'm trying to say. But you're hitting those demos. A normal adult's not going to go see a comic movie. I mean, they're not. I mean, literally, guys, I saw Doctor Strange 2. You know who was hooting and hollering in my theater? Kids. You know who was telling their kids to shut up? Their parents. So, um, so that's just the environment, And I go to the theater frequently, so I know, or not like frequently, but I go there, more times than a regular person would. I know the type of people that come to the theater. It's not, like when I go see like Men, for example, directed by Alex Garland, which looks great, by the way. Um, I'm pretty sure that the majority is going to be adults, not because it's R-rated, but because that type of movie appeals to adults more than anything else. You go to a comic book movie, you're not going to have a bunch of adults and all this stuff. Or if you go to Avatar 2, again, sci-fi doesn't really appeal to a lot of adults. Um, so that's why I also think that this movie is not going to make like the billions of dollars that people think it is. That's purely internet, okay? Don't listen to the internet when they say that, because everyone's saying that, oh, Avatar 2 is going to make all this money. I don't think so. I don't think it really is going to. I mean, like, you're judging that based on, like, again, sequels don't generally do as good as the originals, because unless you're Marvel, that's a different story. Um, but generally speaking, sequels don't do as well as the original because people have already seen what it is that you've done, because the original exists. You know, like Avatar, it still exists from 2009. The Way of Water, I mean, beyond the fact that again it's taken this long to make, what else is there for an adult to latch onto? You know, like what prevents what's going to make them go out to see this movie rather than just saying, well, I have the original. You know, why do I need to go see this again? You know, why do I have to see an exercise in technology again when I already have that here at home? You know, like, I know it sounds a little ignorant on my end, but I mean, that's really all this movie has going for it. It's not a narrative thing because no one cares about the characters. I don't know anyone who can name the characters beyond fanboys and people in film culture. That's it. That's the only people who can name the characters in Avatar. General adults and other people, they don't know squat about Avatar. They only know the fact that there's blue people in it and that visually it looks kind of nice. You know, that's it. That's it. That's all people know about Avatar. And I feel like that those aspects, those things that people highlight and talk about the most, I don't think it's going to generate billions of dollars or makes this sequel any special, you know? I don't really think that it's anything that special. Because just to reiterate, it's purely built by the internet. The internet, like no general adult talks about Avatar. They just don't. 3D has never and ever will be a thing or ever really work, or taken seriously. Sequels in general are not special to begin with because they're sequels. They're not, original concepts. And I mean, visually, it looks kind of dated anyway. I mean, this should have came out in like 2010 or 2011. Just looking at it from a visual point of view. And like I said, just because something takes very long to make does not necessarily mean that that thing is going to be great. If anything, that actually means that that thing has a lot of potential to be really bad or really messy or really disjointed. So, yeah. So I know I'm kind of beating a dead horse at this point, but I just don't see what's so special about Avatar 2. I mean, I will go see it because I am curious to see what James Cameron would bring to this, but because of all the things that he's trying to do with Avatar, making it like a big freaking universe and everything, which that is not appealing to me anyway. I mean, I don't care for franchises at this point. I mean, I'll watch some of them there and there, but I'm not invested into like universe building and all this stuff. So I am curious because it's James Cameron, but that's really it for me. I mean, I don't care about the characters or anything else. And I care because I'm a film guy. That's the reason why I care. Everybody else, though, a general person, is not going to care about Avatar. So, and the reason why that movie made $1 billion, again, is because of the gimmick of 3D. That's it. That's the whole reason why that movie made a whole lot of money. And because it looks pretty. That's it. Nobody cares about the characters and all that stuff. They just don't. The only people who do are people like me and hardcore fans. That's it. And also teenagers who are on the Avatar hype train and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, I know I sound a certain way, but I don't know. I never have gotten the Avatar hype. I never have gotten an understanding as to why this is such a big deal. I don't know. The last time I saw everyone hype for something was Star Wars. And that's different because Star Wars has proven to appeal to everybody, to all parties. Avatar is relying on a certain kind of ignorance. They're hoping that you're ignorant enough, like that's what they're hoping for. They're not hoping for uh, the general adults to come, because they're not going to come. They're hoping that a certain kind of audience shows, and I don't think that they're going to get those numbers. They're not going to get billions of dollars. They're definitely going to get some money, but I don't think it's going to be billions of dollars. That's just me. So that's just my point of view on it. Again, I know it might be an unpopular way of thinking, but that's just how I think. Basically, just to sum it up, I think that the reason why people are hyping it up is because of the internet talking about it. And it's purely built up by the internet. If you talk to any normal adult or anybody else, they don't know anything about Avatar. They don't know anything beyond the fact that there's blue people and it's like visually it looks nice, and just because something took many years to make does not mean it's going to be great. And 3D is not as 3D is not as appealing as it used to be. Back in the early 2000s, yeah, because it was this like new hot thing. It was kind of like a trendy thing. Like that's why Avatar made all that money, because they were banking on something that at the time was, one, experimental, but two, was also this like little trendy thing. Like, oh, cool, 3D, like that sort of thing. 3D has now been thrown to the wayside now. Nobody cares about 3D. So, um, so yeah, so yeah, so I have a very hard time believing that Avatar 2 is going to make like billions of dollars. It's going to make money, but no way in hell is it going to be making like 2 point whatever billion dollars. If this was 2010 or 2011, which is when I think this movie should have been released, I think we might have a different conversation then, because 3D was still kind of a thing back then. But now it's 2022. People could care less about 3D. They don't care. Someone brought up the fact that Endgame made a whole lot of money, made a lot of ticket sales in 3D sort of thing. Well, yeah, because Endgame was something that everyone was in on. Not everyone's is in on Avatar. Not everyone even knows what Avatar is, And I don't want to hear like, well, it's the highest grossing film of all time, so everyone should know about it. But that doesn't mean that everyone knows the story, the characters, and all that stuff. They just look at the blue people, and they're just like, oh, okay, that's Avatar. Like, I know the name, but I don't know necessarily what it's about and all this stuff. Like, you know what I mean? So, um, so I hope it's good. Don't get me wrong. I do hope it's good, but I do not buy into the hype for 1 second. I don't buy into all this stuff like, oh my gosh, like this and that. Like it, if anything, it makes me really concerned. The trailer looked fine. I mean, the music was nice. I think it had some resonance to it, and visually, I think it looks kind of nice. But again, I think this is a movie that should have came out years ago. Not now. I think that like the visuals, like while they're nice, they look kind of dated to me, and I think that they're hoping that 3D and all this stuff, like they're hoping that there's a certain kind of ignorance and a certain kind of audience that will show, and I think that they will show, but I don't think it's gonna bring them the numbers that they're hoping it will. So yeah, so James, you might want to reconsider, your career choices, because you're banking on Avatar, man. He's all in on Avatar, and I don't know. I'm a little concerned. I think they greenlit Avatar 3, so I think he will get at least a trilogy done, but he wants to do like 4 or 5 and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen. So, but we shall see. So. But you guys let me know your thoughts on Avatar 2. Are you guys excited? Do you guys buy into the hype? Do you guys understand where I'm coming from? And I will actually do a reaction to Avatar. I will include it in the monthly package. So I'll make sure to talk about Avatar at some point. And hey, maybe my opinion may change. Maybe when I see the film, the first film, maybe I will become this huge fan and all that stuff. But who knows? We'll see. So, yep, that's my thoughts on Avatar 2. Hopefully it's good, but damn, are they overkilling it with the hype. So, but yeah, like it's just like out of control in my opinion. Just way too much hype for a 3D thing. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. You guys let me know your thoughts, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.